In Sana, at the beginning of prayer, we say Tabarak Asmuka, and blessed is your name. The reason why the name and the names of Allah Almighty are a source of blessings for us is because they're the only way that we have of knowing about the being and the reality of Allah Ta'ala. There's no other way. Allah Ta'ala is An-Nur, He is the light, and this is a good analogy for us to understand this point. We're incapable of seeing light itself. We only see the reflection of light off of objects. For example, we could be floating in the middle of space and we could be surrounded by intense light, but we would have no way of knowing that it's there unless it reflected off of something else. When we think about the darkness of space, that darkness is only a lack of our own perception. It actually refers to its emptiness. When space is empty, then it seems dark to us because there's nothing for light to reflect on. But we could be surrounded by intense light and think that it's dark. So this is a limitation that our eyes have, and this is a reality that we live within. Even when light is shining through a window, then sometimes we can see streams of light, but only because of the fact that it's reflecting off of particles of dust in the room. Otherwise, we're not able to see it. So this reality is reflective of the spiritual reality of the being of Allah Almighty and His light as well. One Sahabi asked the Holy Prophet ﷺ if he had seen his Lord. And the Prophet ﷺ responded that He is light, how could I see Him? So it is only through the reflection of the light of Allah Almighty that we're able to see Him. It is only through His attributes and His names that we're able to see Him. The name or the ism of a thing is the name of a thing or a sign conveying knowledge of that thing. Now let's take for example the attribute of Ar-Rahim, the mercy of Allah Almighty. When we interact with the attribute of Ar-Rahim and Allah Almighty has mercy on us, then we know that He is there. We suddenly become aware of His presence. He was always there. But that interaction is a reflection of His light in a way that we're able to perceive it. Every attribute of Allah Ta'ala, Al-Ghafur, Al-Mujib, or Maliki Yawmiddin, even His attributes of punishment, each of those interactions is a reflection of the light that was already surrounding us, that was always there. But we see that light through a different reflection and we observe the beauty of that light in the way that it is. So each name is a sign of the reality behind it. It is a reflection of a light that we're incapable of seeing. This is why Allah Almighty says in the Holy Quran that لا تدركه الأبصار وهو يدرك الأبصار وهو اللطيف الخبير, that eyes cannot reach Him, but He reaches the eyes, and He is the imperceptible. We cannot perceive Him, and He is also the all-aware. Now, one unique thing about the names of Allah Almighty is also the fact that they always reflect the reality of Allah Almighty. They're not meaningless words. This is why they're blessed, because every name of Allah Almighty is a sign towards a greater and more beautiful reality. So no matter how much time we spend reflecting on it, new doors of blessings will be open to us. But the names that we give to things sometimes can be meaningless. As Masih Maud said, that the ism or the name of a thing is generally understood by people as that by which it is recognized. So for example, a person could be named Bakr. Now, the word is meaningless as far as reflecting on that person's attributes or characteristics. When we know somebody whose name is Bakr, then we just remember that person who's named that name because of word association or because of object recognition or something else. It's not because the word carries an intrinsic meaning that is a true reflection of that person's personality. That's not what it is. So there's so many names that we give to things, objects and people that are just meaningless words by themselves. But we just know that that's the object that it's referring to because of the association that we have with it. But this is not the way Allah Almighty names things. The promised Messiah ﷺ went on to say that, however, in the view of people who are learned, the ism or the name of a thing is a reflection of its reality. There is no doubt that the names given by Allah Almighty to things signify their property. So when Allah Ta'ala gives a name to something or someone, then it signifies the reality of that person or that thing. The names that we give to things can sometimes not only be meaningless, but be the opposite of its reality. For example, we could name somebody Shakur. He grows up to be an ungrateful person. There are some people named Rashid and they're lost themselves. So this is the reality of our names that we give to things and people. But when Allah Ta'ala gives a name to a person, then it is a true reflection of the reality that is within them. And the names of Allah Almighty Himself, those names are infinitely greater. They are a reflection of an infinite reality and a light that is behind them. So this is why they are a source of abundant and everlasting blessings. The word Tabaraka means abundant good. He is abundant good, where it means that He is everlasting. The name of Allah Almighty is everlasting. So Allah, the name of Allah, is the name of the Supreme Being who is the possessor of all perfect attributes. So when we say Tabarak Asmuka and blessed is your name, then we should think about how the name and each name of Allah Almighty is blessed for us because it is the only way that we have of seeing the light of Allah Almighty, of knowing about the being of Allah Almighty. And also each name is blessed and is a source of everlasting and eternal blessings and abundant blessings because it is reflective of a greater reality behind it. The more we reflect on that sign, that name, that attribute, that reflection, the more we will understand of the beauty of the reality of Allah Ta'ala that it is pointing towards. So this is why the names of Allah Almighty are blessed, and this is why we remind ourselves in each prayer that Tabarak Asmuka, and blessed is your name.